Just got a tip, there's no debate. I know a gent that'll set you straight. It's Vinny Valentine. Good fellow who's got what it takes. A New Yorker to make no mistake. It's Vinny Valentine. And if you're feeling real blue, call on Vinny. He's gonna tell you who's better than you. Elizabeth Street, Little Italy. Hangs with his pals, yeah, that's where he'll be. It's Vinny, a friend of mine. Stand-up guy from the Lower East Side. Take it from me, he's one of a kind. It's Vinny Valentine.
Who's better than you? Welcome to Tell It Like It Is. And boy, it's so good to be back again. And I was off for a couple of weeks, and they showed some reruns. Anyway, tonight, you know, normally I always start off with a topic. You know, this thing with Trump and segregating the kids from their parents, and they're in like these cages, wherever the hell they are. You know, that's heartbreaking to see those kids taken away from their parents. And I don't know, that just reminds me of the concentration camps when they were separating, I think, the men from the women and kids. I don't know what the hell this world is coming to. But anyway, it's got to be straightened out. I hope this guy straightens it out rather than to make it worse. Ever since he got in office, we had problems with Russia, North Korea, Canada.
Maybe, Vinny, maybe you could straighten it out.
Yeah, I would straighten it out if I went up.
Who's better than you?
You're right. And but anyway,
that's your slogan.
Before we get on with the show, I'd like to say a friend of mine out there, David and Tony. That's his wife's name, Tony. Very good friend of mine, and I love them, and they're constantly in touch with me, or vice versa. And tonight I have an old friend of mine here in the studio as a guest, and he's done a number of films. Not only is he a friend of mine, he came in from California to do the show tonight, and I've been in touch with him for a while. And please give him a nice hand, Rich Rossi. All right, there you go, my boy.
That's great.
All right.
I wish we had more time because we have Artie, that we could invite Artie Pasquani and JT and all the whole crew could have come, and it was just such an impromptu thing.
I know. Well,
you canceled Robert De Niro and you brought me. Is that right?
Yeah, you're right.
he couldn't make it, so I showed up.
Yeah, he couldn't make it, so you showed up. But I'll tell you, I know we've done a number of films together.
We have.
And Rich came all the way in from California.
Can I tell you something, Vinny?
Sure.
I left California at 4:30 California time, which is about 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
Because it would have been 3-hour time difference. And you know, it was like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, like Steve Martin movie. I swear, it was like an unbelievable fiasco. And the nice thing about getting away from the girlfriend, Stacy, love you, but it was a nice trip. Had a lot of time to think. And what I thought about was how I saw you in 1995 in Casino, the movie Casino. And I didn't know you then, and I was like watching this movie, and you, De Niro, yeah, he's a big deal, big star, but you left such an impression. I mean, that was such a pivotal part in the whole movie. You played Artie. Oh. And I thought about that, and I thought, oh my God, you know, here we are. And I watched that movie, and I was just, it was a passion I had as an actor, to be an actor one day. You know, to really start doing movies, and then to be hanging. And then I remember when they sent me to try to get you to be Nightbird, and that was like, oh my God, we got to deal with Vinny. But you know, Vinny, you are such a star in your own right. I mean, that movie was had such a huge. It's always playing on cable and television. So I always watch you on TV.
It's all over that show.
It's all over, and when I watched that, I got such a kick out of your lines. I mean, and you told me, I remember your story about when you worked with Martin Scorsese's mom, that you improv'd a lot of that. Is that right?
Yeah.
But the greatest line, of course, was when, at the end of the movie, you brought down the whole mob. I mean, you're the pivotal character of that whole movie.
Yeah, when a lot of people see me in the street, they say, hey, you were the guy that was in the casino. You were the rat, right? No, I wasn't. If you stop and you think and you look at the movie, there was a bug. The FBI bugged my produce market.
Right.
So I didn't know that my produce market was being bugged. And I'm over there rattling off to my brother-in-law.
Right.
So I was telling my brother-in-law all the things that I didn't like.
Right.
All the things
right. I
that
remember
were
that
going
scene.
on.
Everybody remembers that scene.
So the FBI was writing this all down.
I mean, it was the biggest part of the whole movie because that's what literally brought the whole thing down. And then at the end of the movie, can you say your line? It was such a great line about you.
Well, when they came over to me, there was the FBI raided my house.
Right.
And they were looking through the drawers, and all of a sudden, they came up and they went, bingo, we got him. And they found the books with the addresses and times and everything. And they came over to me and said,
I remember that.
What's this, Mr. Piscano? I went, oh, those are not my books. Those are my mother's books. They said, put the effing cuffs on them.
And we have a clip that I wanted to go to if we could. But I mean, to be sitting here with you now, when I was just watching that movie at home or watching it at the theater, and to be a friend of yours, a dear friend of yours now, it's such a great thing to, I don't know if people could appreciate that, to watch a star on the film, and then to be hanging out with them and doing movies with them. That's like a dream come true. I just want to make that point because on the 24-hour ride over here, I had a chance to think about that going, geez, I'm watching him in a film, and then next thing you know, I'm in a film with him. So, and we did Saving Little Italy, and we did Nightbird together. So, I think if we could we run that one clip I wanted to show? It was one of the first clips that we had.
You want to show a clip?
Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich Rossi back with you at Festival Week, and I'm with the none other than the famous, infamous, amazing, and unbelievable Vinny Bella. Vinny, it's always a pleasure. You're next, Matt. You're next, Matt. And of course, Matt and Treasure. And what were you saying?
Treasure.
Oh no, you saying, but thanks about the introduction.
I'm sorry?
You were saying about the introduction.
I said, what a great introduction you just gave me.
Because you are an amazing fellow. I mean, you've been. I mean, a lot of people see you.
Thank you so much.
They've seen you in Casino. They've seen you in Sopranos. They've seen you in Kill the Irishman. They've seen you in.
Find Me Guilty, Coffee and Cigarettes, Ghost Dog.
Ghost Dog. Some of it. Wow.
So many films.
Now I happen to know because I just talked to you earlier this week that you're in 4 movies and you're in a play now. This is the first time you're doing
that clip. It was because that was
actually
when we
I did a play in
fine.
about 15.
That's when we had first met, and so I thought it was kind of a special thing because I was feeling that about you. And then, of course, when Damien Chapa, who wanted to get you in Nightbird, after we had this, we met you at the New York International Film Festival.
We did that uptown, right?
Yeah, and then he said, you got to get Vinny in the movie. And I go, oh man, Vinny's a tough cookie. So that's when we first met. And I thought that would you get a kick out of it when we first met.
We had a little fun on that one, right?
We had a really good time. We have a clip of that, but we're not going to go to that right now unless you want to. But is it okay if we show one other thing? I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Golden Globes. Remember you said you saw me on Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah. So I think we're going to go and show a clip of me congratulating Leonardo DiCaprio at the Golden Globes.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Is that okay? And then I wanted to ask you if that's okay. Oh, here we are, the Golden Globes here. Oh, that's Casey Affleck. And we missed the, okay, here we are.
Casey Affleck, Vin,
That's Casey Affleck. So here I am. You might have seen me on television a few times, and I come into the shop right there, congratulating Casey Affleck at the Golden Globes. And then we're going to go to the Leonardo DiCaprio that you saw. And the reason I say that is I want to see you at the Golden Globes winning one of these awards.
From The Hunger Games, last year's Golden Globe winning actress in a drama, Julianne Moore.
Here are the nominees for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama. Bryan Cranston, Trumbo. Leonardo DiCaprio, The Revenant. Michael Fassbender, Steve Jobs. Eddie Redmayne, The Danish Girl. And Will Smith, Concussion. And the Golden Globe goes to Leonardo DiCaprio.
You see me coming into the shot here. I think that the reason, Vinny, and I want to thank you so much because there were so many of these clips. There's Robert Downey Jr. and there's me with Ronald Reagan, and there was some stories I want to talk to you about that when you invited me on the show. But what you did is it kind of inspired me because you did stand-up comedy. You put on about a 90-minute show, right? And so now I'm kind of putting all these clips together, and what inspired me was you doing your show, and also Martin Short and Steve Martin have a show on Netflix right now where they show clips and they talk about their lives. And you know, it's not that you and I, I'm anybody, but to see around these extraordinary people and these stories, like when they took me in the. Is it okay if I tell you a little story?
Sure.
Oh, I mean, you don't mind? Okay.
No, please.
Well, you can see that I didn't exactly have a ticket when I went on these shows. Okay. Someone says, and getting around that security, if they catch you. But I felt like, I wanted to kind of push it and make a little of the envelope, make a name for myself, be seen on international television. And I didn't realize that I had so many clips. And inadvertently, you kind of get caught up thinking that you belong when you really don't have a ticket. And there was an occasion where you might remember when Al Gore ran for president in 1999. And if you remember that, he ran for president in 1999. So I was, everybody was there, the celebrities there, and I worked my way into the celebrity tent. And I remember Ben Affleck, his brother, Casey Affleck, who I congratulated, he was actually joking around with the Secret Service. And they said, well, why don't you come to the airport with us? Well, I took it literally, and I hopped in the motorcade. Can you imagine this? And he's like vice president at the time, sitting vice president, and I wasn't thinking very clearly. And we were in the motorcade. If you've never drove in a presidential motorcade, it is something else. The streets are blocked off, the police are all around, and I thought, this is great, and I couldn't believe how exciting it was until we got to the airport. And then I thought, oh my God. And Al Gore was congratulating everybody, and then he's congratulating, and they have Air Force Two there. And I'll never forget, he came up and he said, I said, Al, congratulations. By the way, I knew he was going to Florida. I said, I know a lot of people in Florida. Maybe I could help you get some votes. He goes, you can help me get some votes. I said, yeah. He said, wait right here. And he got the campaign manager. And the campaign manager came up to me and he said, and I've got pictures that document all this, by the way. But he came up and he said, where's your ID? And I said, my ID. It's a funny thing. Ben Affleck was joking around about, they didn't like that too much. He goes, wait right here. Next thing I know, two guys come up with dark glasses, Secret Service, and they said, come with us.
So you didn't have your ID. And they got you out.
Well, not did they get me out. They brought me in the back of a plane hangar. It was very dark and very scary. And they said, let me tell you something. Nobody knows you're here. You could disappear tonight. Sounds like one of the movies you and I do. Yeah. You could disappear tonight. And I knew they were very serious. Because do you realize you were that close to the Vice President of the United States? You breached security and that doesn't make us look very good, and we don't like that. So you better have a good reason of who you are and how you got here. So they want to know where I lived, my mother, my father, my aunt, my uncle, where I went to school. And that night, it was actually Halloween night.
So they escorted you out then?
I answered all the questions very correctly. I told them my name, Richard Sebastian Joseph Rossi, which is my real name, not Rich Rossi, but, and where I went to school, my mother, my father, and they had the computer there and they checked every little piece of information out. And they found out I wasn't a terrorist or tried to kill the vice president. And they let me out and I went to this little party they were having at the Halloween. I went back behind the airport there, they had little bars there. And I said, would you believe I was just hanging out with Al Gore? And they go, yeah, right, trick or treat. Yeah. But these are some of the stories that, with the clips, that I think are kind of interesting. That you got to admit, hanging out with the Vice President of the United States.
Well, from what I've known of you, I've seen you. I don't remember exactly what incidences they were, but I've seen you talk your way in and out of a bunch of things that you didn't belong. Belong with.
Right. And you mentioned, I'm afraid to mention Trump, but I have met Trump 3 times. And he's a hard guy to get around. I met him he was like doing the Hollywood thing, so I met him at an Oscar party once. And that was when he was a germaphobe. And I have a photo with that where his hair is kind of different, he's kind of straight. And I went up to shake his hand, we got a funny picture together. I didn't bring that, but again, this is what the show is about. And he's just standing there, so I shook his pant thing and we joked around a little bit. And then I met him actually with the Battleship Iowa. And this is it right here, as a matter of fact. Boy, Rich is really good with this timing. You'll see him ending
What's
this
this
thing.
now?
No, this
We're
is
gonna-
Trump when he came out to California. I snuck on the ship. That's kind of crazy. So I think this might be after the fact. He actually says, I'm not sure. I think
Well, look at those guns.
Yeah, it's a little bit before this, but yeah, it's a little before this when he actually gets off the stage. Let me see. Yeah, right here. Yeah. So right here, you'll see him getting off the stage.
Yeah.
And as he walks down the stairs, I'm standing there at the bottom of the stairs, and you'll see me come into the shot right there. See my head.
I see it right there.
Yeah. And so I'm talking to him for a couple of minutes, and I got some photos with him and everything. And at that point, he said his comment to me was, "You again." Because I kept, and it's not that I'm political about any of this, but I think the part of it is that to get around such famous people, infamous, famous, like yourself, I had to get around you.
I worked with Trump twice.
You did?
Movie called Celebrities.
Oh, wow.
A Woody Allen film.
Is that right?
And I was a newspaper reporter, I think.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember. And then when he did a commercial for double-decker buses on Fifth Avenue.
How did you find him? I mean, you're a pretty normal guy.
I found him all right, to be all right.
Yeah.
He asked me.
He's a meat and potatoes
He
guy.
seemed like he came on the motorhome. I'm sitting behind the wheel and he goes, "Who are you?" I said, "Who are you?"
I was
And he
thinking,
started laughing and walked away from me.
And I was thinking that here it is that you got your career kind of started with De Niro a little bit with the casino, and you had a great pivotal role. And my first movie was actually Silence of the Lamb. I saw myself briefly, but then I went and was in Godfather 3, and you had lines, and I was standing next to Pacino. I couldn't say a thing because I was just standing there like a piece of furniture. But that, and then I met Pacino after that about 4 or 5 times actually total. He's a nice guy. I actually. You like De Niro, and it's funny, you're friends with Bob. He was at your. Can you tell us that? That's such a great story about when Joe Pesci and you were walking around. You had the fake Joe Pesci story. Oh, I love that story.
There was this guy, his name was Mario, and he's a split image of Joe Pesci.
Right.
He looks just like him. Wore a leather jacket, black shirt with a gold chain, and I'm walking around Little Italy with him, and I see my cousin. So I says, "Hey, cousin Bob. Hey, Vinny, how are you?" Kiss me hello. I says, "Bob, this is Joe. Joe, it's my cousin Bob." And she said, "Oh, hi." And then when he turned around, he was looking at something. I said, "That's Joe Pesci." Joe Pesci. And she was hugging him and kissing him and everything in the street. I was going to tell her the truth, but she had to go right away. We had to go. So she walked back to the neighborhood. We're only about a block and away from my house. And everybody was sitting in front of my building, all my relatives. She goes, "Would you believe it? That lunatic, he's walking around with Joe Pesci in the neighborhood." She goes, "Don't mind him. That was a lookalike." She goes, "When I get that mother, And so now, she, so now at my wedding,
Because you became friends with De Niro on the casino set, right? That's where you met him and you asked him.
Oh, yeah.
And you asked him if he would be
I
your
knew
best.
him before that.
Oh, I didn't know that you knew him before that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I knew him before that.
Okay.
And what you've seen in Mean Streaks, that's how he really used to be.
Wow.
He was a little wacko back then. And then they told him, this movie's going to make it. So, you got to get all that mafia stuff out of you,
Right.
and be a little bit easier with people. And then he changed for the better, Not that he was bad.
Right.
And so at my wedding, not only was he the best man, but, my wife was saying, "Who's the best man?" I said, "He'll be here in a minute." "Well, who is he?" Because
a great
De Niro told me, if anybody knows that I'm coming, and when I pull up, if I see any cameras, any newspaper report, I'm just going to keep driving. I won't get out of the car. So I couldn't tell anybody they were going to be there. He wanted to make it a big surprise. So she said, "Who's your best man?" I said, "He's going to be here any minute. Then finally, he walked in, and everybody
this
said,
story.
"Robert De Niro." So my cousin walked over, and she goes, "You're not going to fool me again, you mother." And she went over to him, and she tried to move his mold, on his face. And when she seen that it didn't move, he was looking at her like that. And when she walked away, thinking that wasn't Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
He went, who's that? I said, don't mind, she's nuts.
You know, it's kind of like it's so hilarious. It's like 6 degrees of separation. That's such a great story. I've told that to so many people. It's hilarious. People love that story. Your son was in his Analyze This, Analyze That, right?
Well, my son was.
And Analyze.
He played De Niro's son in Analyze This.
Right. And it's funny because he was at the Golden Globes with Billy Crystal when I met De Niro, or should I say met him. He sort of blew me off.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there, and I thought, this is before I ever met him, and I was like, he was always one of, I mean, here you worked with him, how tremendous is that? And he was, being an Italian actor myself, you always love, I always loved him as, everybody loved De Niro if you were an Italian, you always, and until I met him. I gotta say, until I met the guy, because, but anyway, he was sitting there with Billy Crystal, and basically, when he got up, I said, I gotta meet this guy. So he was walking to the bathroom, I said, hi, and he says, hi, and he walked right by, him, and he walked right by me, I go, oh, no. I didn't wait my whole life to meet you, to wave goodbye. So when the Golden Globes ended, of course, I got myself in there again.
Well, with Analyze This, we were shooting in...
You were on the set as well?
And yeah, I was there.
Were you in that as well?
Yeah, I was in this and that. But in this, I was in the
this and that.
in the meeting in that room, where all the mobsters all sitting around the table.
I remember that. See, that's when I used to love that guy. The guy was in with Paul Sorvino, the actor that he passed away. Who was that guy?
Joe Vittorelli.
Yeah, I loved him. Yeah. He was great. He was great in The Firm. He was in The Firm with
De Niro, and my son, to Robert De Niro was like just another person.
Right.
He didn't realize he was such a big star.
Right.
And every day in the hotel, in the Sheraton, I forgot the name of the hotel, in Florida, Vinny would go into his room, they would play Atari, they would play on the machine.
Is that right? Oh, wow.
And they were going back and forth. And all of a sudden, he says, okay, we need De Niro. They said, De Niro's playing games on the TV with Vinny Vella. I'm like, leave him alone.
The junior.
And then when they were walking through the hotel with a whole entourage of people behind him, my son said, is there any way we can get orange juice to drink? He says, you want orange juice? Don't worry. He says, hold on, stop. He says, Vinny Vella wants orange juice. Bring him fresh orange juice.
Oh my God!
So my son said, "I want the fresh one. The one that you squeeze."
He was, and I'm surprised your son didn't really take advantage of that relationship. And
he did.
He did.
Yeah, he's in touch with
Is he still working?
Robert De Niro's daughter all the time.
Okay.
And Raphael, his son.
And so anyway, to finish that story. So De Niro, when he said hi and walked away, I waited for the Golden Globes to break up, right? So I said, I'm going to go talk to him. So I said, hi, Robert, I just want to talk to you. He says, do you think you're better than me? I didn't know where the hell that was coming from. And a couple of people were around because it was De Niro, and I said, what'd you say? He said, do you think you're better than me? You think you're going to be better than me in 10 years? I'll never forget he said that. Better than me in 10 years? I said, yeah, I think I'll be better than you in 10 years. What are you talking about? Of course I'm going to be better than you. And then he turned around and walked away, and people looked at me and said, were you just yelling at De Niro? And I realized, you know him well enough to know that he was just working on a line for his trailer, and he was in Men of Honor coming up next, and that was his line saying, do you think you're better than me? So I was just like a piece of plastic to him. He didn't really. And then I saw him at the, I think I told you this, I saw him at the Tribeca Festival, and I said, your friend, you were friends with best man at Vinny Bella's wedding. I was wondering if we'd come to the party. Yeah, come to the party. He never liked me. I don't know what I did to this guy. Why doesn't De Niro like me? He likes your son, he likes you. Me, I'm not a part of his little family. I don't fit in, I guess.
He's one of the nicest guys
if you get to know him. I found that true with Pacino. I'm not trying to drop names or anything, but I pushed myself on Pacino about 5 times in my life so far, and he's a really nice guy. He's good friends with Larry King. I was in the.
I just finished the movie with him.
You did?
The Irishman.
Oh, that's right. Did you get to see him?
Yeah.
Did you
so all my scenes are with him.
With Pacino too?
No, not with Pacino. With Robert De Niro.
Wow.
And
wow, that is so exciting.
Was,
oh my God. That is great.
Yeah, all my scenes are with him. And at one point, I play an owner of a meat market.
Right.
And when meat is put on a truck and it's going to its destination, the owner of whoever bought the meat and wherever it's going has to take the seal off the back of the truck. So I had to put the seal on the truck, and then De Niro drives away.
Right.
You know, after we lock up the back of the truck, then he goes to the front and he drives away. But we've done so many takes, and my hands were so cold. And I couldn't put the seal on after about 20 times of locking the seal on the back of the truck. So all of a sudden, my hands wouldn't move. And everybody was there, Scorsese, the cameraman, De Niro. And I looked at De Niro, I said, I'm sorry, my hands are frozen. I just never had a problem before putting it in the hole.
It's really funny. I find it really funny. I mean, you know, I know you just finished the movie The Irishman. You were in the movie called Kill the Irishman.
Kill the Irishman.
You got something about Irish people. What is that?
Well, you know, I had, like, Kill the Irishman. I had a lot of scenes in that movie. You've seen that one, right?
Yeah, I did see that when you got blown up in the phone booth.
Yeah, and
that was a phone booth thing where they got you.
Right. So then a lot of people say, "Oh, is this a continuation?"
Right.
No, it's not. Kill the Irishman was one movie about a guy named Danny Green in Cleveland years ago, and then this one, The Irishman, is about that guy Hoffa, whatever his name is.
Jimmy Hoffa. Yeah, Jimmy Hoffa. Did he play? Who plays Hoffa?
I think.
Is it De Niro that plays?
I think he plays.
That is so fast, but I mean, yeah, but it's
either him or Al Pacino that play Hoffa.
You're in a movie with Al Pacino, I mean, and De Niro. I was in.
Pesci.
Oh my God! It's not fair, Vinny. I can never catch up with you. Although I was.
When I pulled up at the set, they said, "These guys that just left, they're all extra for you." They wanted to see me and meet me again.
Oh my God!
Pacino and.
Unbelievable! Look at you.
You know.
Who's better than you?
You know. So but when I see these people, you know, at first many years ago, when I used to see these stars, you know, you get so tongue-tied.
Right.
You know. But now when I see them, it's like, oh, I'm finally get to meet you. But not only that, like when I go to say hello to them, they already know who I am because they've seen me in all my movies. So
that's amazing.
They're excited to meet me as well as I'm excited to meet them.
I mean, what a league of people to be hanging out with. I mean, you can call them friends. Me, I'm always crashing parties, you know, to meet them.
You know, this is the first half hour of the show. Thank you for being with us all the time. Love you. See you next week.